Alright guys, I am starting a new kind of thing here. This is going to be the D3AtHrAiN333 talk show about updates and so forth. Today we're going to be talking about updates on the PlayStation Portable. That's great. I have it upside down. Yeah, that's wonderful, isn't it? Alright, so today we're going to talk about new updates on the PSP, like I said 10 seconds ago. Basically, the running firmware right now is 5.50 Gen D3, the fixed version. Little background information on this firmware. It enables the PSN. There's Evil PSN enabler. There's the PSN enablers also. There's other SE plugins that you can use to enable your PSN. Now, so forth on enabling the PlayStation Network on the 5.50 Gen D3 fixed firmware, you need to be on Gen D2. And you install the SE plugin and let it do its thing, and then simply update to Gen D3, the fixed version. Other than that, this firmware allows you to play games for 5.55, 6.00, 6.10, and 6.20 games, ripped off the UMD, either in ISO mode or CSO format. Which basically in ISO is the ripped version of the game off the UMD disk, which is a disk image file. In ISO, you burn it to a disk. For an example, if you take the ISO and burn it to a DVD, and you can probably play it in your PS2. It also depends on what you have done to your PS2 and so forth like that. A CSO is a compressed ISO, which basically takes up less memory and which is a lot better than an ISO. An ISO has a whole bunch of empty space. It's a buffer zone, basically, for data, so it doesn't get corrupted and the game doesn't crash. Well, if the game crashes, that's really no big deal. Nothing's going to happen to your system, but it is a little bit of a hassle sometimes if you're playing a really good game that you're into and you get to this point in the game where you have a certain save point. For an example, I was playing the God of War Chains of Olympus before and it crashed, and I just got past this really hard part, and I had to do it all over again. But it's really not a big deal. It doesn't crash a lot on a CSO file. Mostly it's because it's for the newer firmwares, and we've kind of did our little thing with the firmware to enable us to play that game on 5.50 Gen D3, the fixed version. Also, more SE plugins coming your way. There is a CPU modulator now that is out there. It's been out for a while, but there's been a little bit of an update, so there's actually more of a buffering period to counteract with the gameplay that you are so forth doing, which basically, for an example, if you're running on an emulator, emulators for certain games that you are emulating don't necessarily need a high CPU speed. For an example, if you're playing a Game Boy Advance game that is not three-dimensional format, which none of them really actually are, there are like two, which I think is Pokemon, but that's about it. The Pokemon Emerald, Sapphire, things like that, the GBA file format, which is the Game Boy Advance games that are the ROMs that are extracted from the cartridges that you buy in the store. If you put them in your emulator, so forth, which judging on what emulator you have, I preferably prefer you guys to get this emulator right here. It's called the GPSP Kai. It's a Game Boy Advance emulator, and it works fairly well. It has no flaws, and it's very easy to understand. That emulator there basically is the best one out. But as other words, as the CPU modulator goes, this will scan through what type of gameplay you have going on for you, whether it be an emulator, an ISO, CSO, an eBoot file that is an extracted PSX emulation using the POPs loader. Basically, it will scan your gameplay, and judging on the graphics settings, the sound emulation, and it will basically combine all that together in one little big old poof, and it will modulate your CPU speed automatically for you. Now what this does is it'll help you save battery power, it'll have you have better gameplay, and you won't have to worry about having your CPU overclocking all the time. So mostly with two-dimensional games, you don't need a high CPU speed, which, for an example, Super Mario World emulation, or PS1 emulations using the POPs loader, you don't need a higher CPU speed because they don't have that great of graphics, and there's not that much sound in the games either. So you probably need like a CPU speed of 222. That's about it. Not 333. That's overclocked. You don't need that much CPU speed for those games. On the other hand, if you are emulating a Super Nintendo game using the SNES 9XTLY emulator, which is the best one for Super Nintendo that's out there, you will probably have a higher CPU speed just because of the graphic function. But other than that, that's that SE plugin there. Another SE plugin for you is a fix on the custom themes, the CXMB for 5.50 custom firmware. Now this will work on custom firmware's 5.50 Gen, MHU, and U3R. There are 3 different firmwares that are 5.50 that are out there. This will work on all of them. This just fixes a few bugs with the custom themes, which is sometimes the icons you'll pop up your menu and you'll scroll over, but your icons will not move, so you won't be able to see what you're looking at. So that was the bug that they're fixing in the CXMB. This is the 3.14 CXMB that is coming out within the next week. I will have a video on that, on showing you how you guys should install this properly so you don't have any problems. Also, fake custom firmwares. Whoever's making fake custom firmwares, I pretty much believe everybody's begging you to stop, because whenever we see a custom firmware, quote unquote, right, that is 6.20, we're going to freak out and everybody's going to test it out. I've tested out 27 different firmwares that are 6.20 and none of them work. I'm probably better off making my own custom firmware, but I simply don't have the time to do that. I would do it, but between school, work, and driving classes for my drug and alcohol, I don't simply have enough time in order to do that right now. Also, I'm looking for another job, and that ties up things as well. So yeah, just please stop making the fake custom firmwares. If you're gonna attempt to make a firmware, make a beta version, or at least call it beta if it's fake. That way we know it's the beta version and we won't be afraid to test it, or we won't think we're wasting our time to test it. But without a doubt, yes we are. But other than that, just stop making the fake custom firmwares, please, 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 please. We got 5.5 Gen D3, the fixed version, works totally fine except for that one little tiny error where when you're during gameplay, a little white line sometimes pops up on the top of the screen. This isn't anything big, it's just simply formatting the games into the 5.50 custom firmware instead of the 6.1, 6.20, 6.00, 5.55, or whatever it had a need, or whatever it needed in order to play the game, and we're just kind of boosting our level here. But that's pretty much it. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I have to talk about. There will be many more videos coming your way on the PlayStation Portable. As you can see, this is a 2000 model. I recommend getting a 2000 model because you can do so much more with it. You can activate TV by using the fake region. You can block your MAC address. You don't have to use save game exploits because those are, 1, a pain in the ass to find, and 2, they don't really help us enable a homebrew environment for the PlayStation Portable. Also, with the PSP Go, they don't help that much either. The PSP Go is not cracked yet, although there are some videos where they are running homebrew. And if you are one of those guys, just come on out. Just come on out and say how you got that going on custom firmware for you, because a lot of people are interested in that and they want to know what your background is and how you did it. And it's all freeware, guys. It's all freeware. This is all free to everybody and anybody who wants to do it, and that's what my tutorials are for. So this is Rob as your host on the D3AtHrAiN333 show on YouTube. Subscribe to my channel and also stay up to date. I have a Twitter, MySpace, Facebook, and an AIM. If you have any questions, click on my referral link underneath my profile on my channel. That will lead you to my own website. It's called D3AtHrAiN333's help site for the PSP and other things like Apple, like iPods, iPhones, things like that. But go to the About Me, and all my information for you guys is there. So take it easy, guys, and I'll see you on the next episode.